Welcome back, everybody, to the show this evening. Let's start with this show where we started with the morning broadcast, which is this insane, one of the most horrific bills you could possibly imagine that has now passed the House. And in thinking about the points we went through already, and we're going to come back to, if Trump signs this into law, it looks increasingly likely that he will sign this into law. This is his whole legislative agenda, essentially in one big reconciliation package, which I know you're thinking, weren't Republicans always saying the Democrats would give them this huge 2,000-page bill right before they were supposed to vote on it, and they didn't have a chance to go through it all, just to slip it through literally in the middle of the night? And now, is that what they did last night? Exactly what they did last night. But hypocrisy is a thing we used to call out, but now Republicans don't even care, so why even call it out? But in this reconciliation package, you have summed up, and we'll go through more details, but taking from the poor to give to the rich. Not literally, but as close to literally as you could possibly imagine. And the exact opposite of the promises Trump ran on. Sickening stuff. So then you're imagining, wait, if it adds to the debt, if it guts programs like Medicaid and SNAP, cuts taxes for wealthy folks, and the combined effect is that the poorest Americans lose wealth and the richest Americans gain wealth, it doesn't check any of the boxes any Republicans would openly admit they want checked. How did this get through the House? Well, we have an answer, and this was the answer that I thought we were going to get to. The Daily Beast reports, a lawmaker says Trump is literally yelling at Republicans to make them fall in line. And we've looked at these reports before, but now we have a fresh batch, which is that throughout the night as this bill was being debated, Trump's huge budget and all of these different stipulations, if Republicans were seeming like they're going to block it in the House, they would get pulled out of the House chamber, handed a phone, and Trump would be on the other end swearing at them, yelling at them, shouting at them. And when they came back, tail between their legs, they would all of a sudden, strangely, be convinced that this bill's great.
It looks like we were testing how far we can go, whether we're going to push up against that limiting condition. Now, Republicans basically say they have, my feeling here is the strategy is the too big to fail strategy, right? You got one bill, you've got the president's whole agenda, rises or falls on it. Will you, are you really going to submarine Donald Trump? And they're going to try to push it to the floor. What's your understanding of where we are in this process?
This is the entirety of the Republican agenda, not just for this year, not just for this term in Congress, but this term of Donald Trump's presidency. Yeah. Because what else do they have other than fight woke? They really have no other agenda than this.
Fight DEI. You ever heard of that, Brendan?
So I think the pressure on them to pass this will be enormous. I have seen time and time again House Republican members saying they're in no at the outset, and then suddenly they get a tap on the shoulder. They're dragged out of the House floor and back into the Republican members' cloakroom, and they're handed a cell phone, and it's Donald Trump literally yelling at them and cursing at them. I tend to think that history will repeat itself, and that one way or the other, they'll be able to get the votes. I hope I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong. I'm going to fight like hell to make sure this awful policy doesn't become law. But I've just seen them fold too many times before to believe that they won't fold again this time.
Well, Democratic Representative Brendan Boyle there had a crystal ball. Can you imagine? Because mere hours later, that's exactly what happened. They folded. And so there's different parts of this, right? The political and policy catastrophe that is taking away up to 13 million Americans' health insurance under Medicaid. While a little bit more of that they're giving up in dollars for tax cuts for the very tip top of the socioeconomic ladder. That's terrible, but something like that is the argument, which if you decipher it, I have this really good MAGA Republican translator, and what they were trying to say was, well, it's because we have to get the debt under control. But again, this is going to add over a decade $3 to $5 trillion to the debt. all while not achieving the wealth gains for low-income Americans that they pretended like they were going to achieve. So how, you might be asking, could they defend this? Well, just pretend.
Switching gears, Carol.
Just following up on Warren Davidson, I wanted to read you his quote that he posted online. While I love many things in the bill, promising someone else will cut spending in the future does not cut spending. Deficits do matter, and this bill grows them. Why should that get a Republican primary?
This bill saves $1.6 trillion for the American taxpayer. It saves more than any bill that has ever passed Capitol Hill has. In fact, by double. The next bill saved $800 billion. This bill saves $1.6 trillion. So this is a very good bill for the American people, the American taxpayer. And I believe, as an outlet put it with a headline this morning, it might have been Politico actually, they wrote that the American people are going to be flush with cash when this thing is signed into law. And that's a good...
I would love to see that headline, Levitt. I'd love to see it. I think she's imagining headlines. Someone's going to be flush with cash. Richies, that's who's going to be flush with cash. Now, it's not that some middle income and middle upper income earners won't see tax benefits. They will. But again, we'll look at again and again and again and again, as many times as we need to, the combined effect of all of the changes to tax policy, to spending policy, and what that actually leads to. But she just lies, right? And I think that Alex Jones said it best, frankly, which I rarely say, about how I feel when she says such lies. A little bit. Now, Russ Vought also proclaimed this absurd lie.
This big, beautiful bill, while incredibly important for growth, they're also keeping an eye on the close to $37 trillion in debt and the $2 trillion deficits.
And this will help. This bill will help debt and deficits. It includes $1.6 trillion. It will probably move up closer to $2 trillion by the time it's scored based on changes that were made in the last day with conversations with conservatives.
Just say whatever. That's their solution. Just whatever you want it to be, say it to be. Now, that can work in some settings. Like, I'm going to run 1,000 miles this year, and then you repeat that to yourself, and then you do it, and then you take the steps to do it, and then you manifest it, right? Or those crazy stories of someone like putting their dream house on a vision board and saying, I'm going to have that house, and then the vision board is left in some cabinet somewhere, and then 2 decades later, the kid brings out the vision board, says, Dad, that's our house, and the dad's like, whoa, that is our house. I manifested that, right? I love it. I love manifestation. And they have manifested a bill that increases the deficit. You can't then triple manifest and make that not true, okay? The only way you would make it not true is to think to yourself, I want a bill that doesn't increase the deficit. I want a bill that doesn't increase the deficit. Put on a vision board and then actually do the stuff that would make that happen, okay? Just putting on the board is not enough. You gotta also do the stuff that can make that happen. That dad probably did the work and lived in the town and then pursued a type of real estate that made it statistically probable that he would end up in that house. Same thing, you gotta do something. Now, they keep making this claim of no. They're doing word games. They're saying it's saving 1.6 trillion, maybe 2 trillion. Every time they say that, they mean getting from Medicaid and SNAP and Medicare, which they just then deny. It's crazy. And this is not me going, I have a political stance. This is just the facts of the bill. But they say we save 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 trillion in spending. That is a true statement by itself, that they're saving in the sense they're cutting that much money in spending. But imagine this, if you would. Imagine I gave you $1 and then you gave it back to me. And I go, I'm not going to give that $1 to you, so I just saved $1. If I told someone I saved $1, that would be a true statement in a vacuum because I saved that $1. But then if I have $6 over here and I still hand those to you, I came out losing. But I saved that $1. But I came out, do the math, 6 minus 1, -5. Or 1 minus 6, -5. Dang it. Even when I was joking, I messed up the math. 1 minus 6. It wouldn't be on. It might be a correct statement if I could say I saved that $1, but it would be an incorrect statement in that overall I lost to you $5. Or I lost to you $6 and I saved $1. So yeah, $5. Okay. My gosh, chill. Okay. These are big numbers we're working with here. Okay. But they just keep repeating it.
The One Big Beautiful Bill also helps get our fiscal house in order by carrying out the largest deficit reduction in nearly 30 years with $1.6 trillion in mandatory savings. Every single Democrat in the House of Representatives who voted against all of these common sense and massively popular policies. The Democrat Party has never been more radical and out of touch with the needs of the American people. The One Big Beautiful Bill is the final missing piece toward ushering the golden age of America. The Senate should pass this as quickly as possible and send it to President Trump's desk for a final signature.
I once went on a date, if you can imagine. And on the profile, it was someone who had a pack, right? I won't specify, but they were very fit looking. And very good looking, and they were my age, okay? Imagine if you would, I went on the date, and when I showed, and I said, that is a beautiful, and their name was Bill. That is a beautiful Bill, okay? So I said, I'm so excited to go meet this beautiful Bill. Big in the sense that he was tall. So big, beautiful Bill. And I showed up to the dinner, and he was 700 pounds bigger than he appeared on his profile. And he had, his entire body was covered in hair. I don't know. Just go with me. And I don't judge people's looks, but Bill was also kind of ugly. And so I learned when I sat down, and he was also 30 years older than he had said he was. So I said, is it fair to call you? I was calling you when we were chatting. We were sexting. Can I call you Big Beautiful Bill still? And he said, yes, my name is Bill. Still call me Big Beautiful Bill still. And I said, but Bill, you are no longer beautiful still. And he said, but I'm big still. I said, well, you're bigger still. That's kind of what they're doing, I guess. Does that make sense to you all? Does that, you get the metaphor?
I don't even know.
Producer Cole's confused. They sold us a big, beautiful, hot Bill, William. But once we all got to the date, it was an ugly, still big, terrible Bill. And I feel like they're now gaslighting us, like Bill was doing to me when he said, no, I'm exactly what I portrayed. You're not, though, right? Maybe you'll go find someone, but you're not my type. You're my type exactly. You're the type that you portrayed initially was my type. That sums it up. That's what they're doing. They're catfishing us. They catfished us. That's still a phrase, right? Catfish? Yeah. Their profile was beautiful. Not really. It was pretty obvious, but we missed the signs. And now we're on a date with them and they're acting like they're someone that they're not. That's this big, beautiful Bill. Vox portrays this in numbers, which might be a little bit more clear than my metaphor, which is, again, I showed you this on the morning broadcast, but you have the lowest income earners losing money, literally losing money. And then middle income earners and upper middle income earners gaining a little bit. And then the highest income earners gaining a whole heck of a lot. Is that what Trump sold us on? Kind of. We kind of knew that. We knew it. But MAGA didn't think this is what was happening. But it's owning the libs. It's destroying the woke. And so they're happy with it. I don't know why cutting your health insurance is owning the libs, but okay. And then here's another one just breaking into the highest and the lowest chunks of earners, and you see the same visualize concept. And I think that MAGA, if they are let down by this, if this doesn't turn some people against Trump, I don't know what will. I really don't. If this bill doesn't. But I don't know why they still believe in him, even after they try to get a Trump watch. And what shows up is a Rump watch.
Showing support for the president and love for his wife.
Just thought it was really nice. It was beautiful.
Tim Pettit shelled out $640 for a watch that may now be even more of a one-of-a-kind than he bargained for. It's what this watch does not have that makes it stand out.
I noticed it right away. The T is missing. It just says RUMP. Should say Trump.
Instead,
it says Rump.
I think that sums it up about. They promised us a Trump watch and they sent us a Rump watch. That's it. Big Beautiful Bill was Big Ugly William, and Trump watch was Rump watch. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing to America right now. That's the best that I can say. Another Caroline Leavitt press briefing. Speaking of people buying things from Trump, here is Caroline being asked about Trump's meeting with his biggest crypto purchasers.
On the president's dinner tonight, will the White House commit to making a list of the attendees public so people can see who's paying for that kind of access to the president?
Well, as you know, Garrett, this question has been raised with the president. I have also addressed the dinner tonight. The president is attending it in his personal time. It is not a White House dinner. It's not taking place here at the White House. But certainly I can raise that question and try to get you an answer for it.
Okay.
This is his personal. No, we know it's personal. He's personally enriching himself. That's kind of the problem. But she did this whole bit again that's getting kind of tired. By the way, I don't think I said subscribe. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. I'd love it. I promise I'm not Miss Catfish. I am what I portray myself to be, I guess. So subscribe if you like what I am.
It's absurd for anyone to insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency. This president was incredibly successful before giving it all up to serve our country publicly. And not only has he lost wealth, but he also almost lost his life. He has sacrificed a lot to be here, and to suggest otherwise is frankly completely absurd.
You just got asked a question about him having meetings with people who are giving him money. Like, I think it's absolutely absurd. I don't know why I gave her that accent, but I like it. I think it's absolutely blasphemous. It's what's the word for trash? In rubbish. I think it's absolute rubbish that anyone would suggest such a thing about our president. And also, I don't have anything to update you on as it pertains to his meeting with people who are paying him to have dinner through crypto, the most corrupt thing you could possibly imagine a president doing. So I don't know how she does it. If it weren't so dishonest, it's almost impressive. Like, I think that she missed her career opportunity. I think, even though she's now very high up in the world, whatever, but I'm saying, I think she was meant to be in the acting business. Like, she's really, really good at acting. Now, in this case, it's not acting, it's lying, but she could be an actress because she's really good at saying things that aren't real, fictionalizing things. In this case, it's just lying, so it's not admirable, it's not impressive, it's just terrible. Caroline, tell me your thoughts in the comments.